Former Alabama Crimson Tide quarterback Scott Hunter. I hope you're having a great day, sir. Welcome back to T-Town.
Well, glad to be back in the Field business, but happy you called.
Absolutely. Looking forward to kind of picking your brain here for a couple of minutes. Can you provide an update for the folks out there that want to see what Scott Hunter's up to these days?
Well, I'm just with Raymond James Financial Services, investment management, and using that degree in finance that I got from the University of Alabama, finally.
Gotcha. And probably using leadership skills that Coach Bryant taught you for many, many years.
Well, they asked me to tell a story, and I tell them when a client sits down at my desk in my office, they look up and see a picture of Coach Bryant with his arm around me on the sideline, and they asked me, what was he telling you? And I said, well, I can't remember exactly, but it was something probably similar to what I'm going to tell you, Scott. We got a plan, and if we don't stick to the plan, we're going to get our ass beat. And that was generally, that was a story I'd tell them.
I don't know if that's a pretty good one right there. And I like it. Let me ask you, and we always talk about a coach's relationship with the quarterback. And, we had earlier this week, we featured one of Nick Saban's guys, John Parker Wilson, and we were just talking about quarterback relationships, Nick Saban, but you can connect us with a generation that we love to talk about as Coach Bryant and that special relationship that he had with his quarterbacks.
Well, quarterback was special to Coach Bryant in that he never yelled at Kenny and myself, and I was around myself, of course, and Kenny. And the reason he told me years later, he wanted the quarterback to be put on a special place. He wanted to be respected and listened to by the team and so forth. He yelled at a linebacker or a guard but he never yelled at the quarterback. And he had a special way of handling quarterbacks and developing quarterbacks. And that's why I think that there were four of us that started in the NFL on the opening day of the NFL season in 1977. And I don't think any other school has ever had four of its quarterbacks start on the opening day of the NFL season.
You think about that, and just what you were saying is the competition that you guys made each other better, the grind of trying to improve daily, and when your opportunity's there, you're ready for that challenge.
Well, I think exactly. First off, to get on the field and play for him, you had to pass through, as you'd say in modern vernacular, a lot of hoops. And he just didn't throw a Joe Namath or a Kenny Stabler or myself or a Richard Todd out there to see how they can do. You kind of proven, your physical abilities, obviously, but also your mental abilities and your psychological abilities before you got on the field to be his starting quarterback.
When you look at being a proud alum of this program, we are proud of every championship that Nick Saban wins, but where Alabama is currently 5 out of the last 9 years, can you put it in words from a quarterback perspective, being an alum of this wonderful program, what Nick Saban has been able to do here in Tuscaloosa?
Well, Coach Bryant said something one time I think probably not many players paid any attention to. He said, the newspapers play it up like I came here and I'm the only thing that ever made anything happen here. And he told us that this place and this program was a great program when I got here as a student and a football player. Wallace Wade having won those bowls. And he said, and it'll be great after I'm gone if the right coach is coaching it. And I think Coach Ryan's words are prophetic. Coach Solomon came along and kind of got things back on track. And now Coach Saban has come along and prophetic to Coach Bryant's words. He's got the program where it's supposed to be. That's at the top.
But you talk about just staying there, and it's just the consistency. I mean, Scott, you tell me another program in the country that can lose both coordinators, all the players that departed to the NFL. He's replacing 6 coaches that left to improve their profession and go to different spots and increase. And you think about they're the number one team to beat, and they're like a 31-point favorite going into Louisville in 100 days down in Orlando. I mean, it's hard to even wrap your brain around that you could lose that much and still be expected to be the best team in college football.
Well, considering replacing good coaches, like Kirby Smart goes to Georgia and Lane Kiffin and all, but you got to remember, this is not T-Roy Tech that's calling to offer you a job to be the offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. This is Alabama. Now it's Alabama with a Nick Saban who's won multiple national championships. You know, to have a chance to coach at a place like Alabama, my gosh, what does that do for your resume? And so you got to figure that Coach Saban pretty much has his pick of the litter, if you will, when he goes out and starts hiring good coaches. It's just up to Coach Saban to be able to evaluate it and know which ones are the good ones, and he's a pretty good evaluator, as we know.
From a quarterback perspective, can you analyze what Tua Tagovailoa was able to do in that second half against Georgia?
Well, yes, that was a good question. That didn't happen accidentally. When he was at St. Louis High School, an old teammate of mine in Atlanta, Gene Jones, was their athletic director and also their volunteer offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. And I know Gene and I spent many hours talking about reading coverages and how do you react to coverages and where you look to throw the ball based on what certain defensive backs did and so forth. So when I heard that Tua had been at St. Louis High School and been obviously schooled by Jones, it was no surprise to me that he was able to look off the safety, see the safety had gotten flat and showed both his numbers, and see the receiver coming off the cornerback who hadn't done a very good job of funneling to the inside, look the safety off to the middle of the field slightly, or at least getting going straight down the hash mark, and then put the ball in the dead spot over there where nobody could make a play on it but our receiver.
Well, and going back to that, I think we always try to understand, most of us have never played the position that you have and the understanding of the game that most quarterbacks are able to help us describe, the amount of prep that goes into making that throw. June Jones came on a couple of months ago and said he's probably thrown that throw 1,000 times in high school.
We all threw that throw 1,000 times. You know, that two coverage, looking at that safety, coming off that corner into that hole over there, a dead spot, I call it. We made that throw 1,000 times. And because you've repeated it and done repetition on it, you know how to do it time comes in the game. That stuff just doesn't happen accidentally.
How good can this guy be?
Well, Tua is most of the country don't really have a fundamental understanding of reading coverages and where coverages take you in the passing scheme. Most of them have to be taught that. Some get it, some don't get it. Tua has already learned that under June's tutelage at St. Louis High School, so he's far down the road. In fact, when I got to the NFL, reading coverages was routine for me. You know, schooled me at Alabama, and I just thought it was routine. I got up there, and there were quarterbacks that really couldn't read coverages. I don't know how they made it up there.
Scotty, if you could look at Jalen Hurts, a guy that has won this many games, took Alabama to national title games, where would you like to see him take another step as he improves his game?
Well, I think he has to be given an opportunity under the new quarterback coach to develop in the downfield passing game. I don't really think he's really asked to really develop in that area himself to develop. He's such a great runner and can make something out of nothing running the football. But at a certain point, defensive coordinators like Kevin Steele often know that, and they've got the athletes and they can design a scheme to take all that away from you. So now you got to be a downfield passer when you've got to be one on 2nd and 8 and 3rd and 9, and that's where he's really got to step up if he's going to compete and have a chance to be the starting quarterback. And that's not yet, I guess, decided.
How difficult of a job will this be for Nick Saban? I mean, obviously he's the best coach right now in college football, and certainly up there when we talk about the legend, Coach Bear Bryant. We talk about championships. not there on the win total. But when you look at these two, how will Nick Saban manage this, and how difficult of a job will it be?
Well, there's one thing, the guards and the linebackers and the running backs and the safeties and the wide receivers, pretty much when you come out of spring training, you pretty much know who's going to be the starter, coming in the fall. Then you get into August and there are a couple maybe surprises that, maybe good surprises and so forth, and you can set them up. Quarterback is a different situation altogether. It's a job not won on the practice field. It's won or lost in a game. And consequently, those two guys are probably going to play, and one of them is going to win the job based on his performance in a game. That's the way I won the job. That we weren't doing very well at the end of the first quarter and playing Virginia Tech and Birmingham, and Coach Bryant put me in to start the second quarter, and I threw a touchdown pass on the first throw I ever made at Alabama, and I had the job.
Well, is that the point that your teammates, because we watched the team rally around Tua in that second half. Obviously, they rallied around Jalen Hurts multiple times as he got Alabama in a position to win the national title or in a national title game. But I did notice the spark, and even Nick Saban commented about it following the game, that at that moment in a particular game, that Tua was able to provide a spark to that team, not just offense, but defense as well.
Well, what you try to do as a quarterback in those situations, you try to make everybody around you better, make the offensive lineman better by getting back, making your read and getting rid of the ball and not taking sacks. You make the receivers better by having the ball there. When they make their break, the ball is there and it's a catchable ball. So you make everybody around you a better player, and when you do, the whole level rises up. You can't do it without making everybody around you a better player. And what Tua did in the second half with the offensive line and so forth, he made everybody a better player. You look over there on defense, and on top of the defense, it seems executing against the defense, the defense is excited about going out there and stopping them in three and getting that offense back, getting the ball back. So it all works together. You're not on an island by yourself as a quarterback. I don't care what kind of talent you have.
Scott, can you, and I know you opened up this segment, but we'll end it with this. Can you share your favorite Coach Bryant story with us?
Well, that's a hard one. But, we're down 32-27 to Ole Miss. About just 3 minutes to go in that game, and at least the nationally televised Saturday night primetime game and all. And I take a timeout. It's fourth down, I think about 18. We're about their 20-yard line. I just taken a sack on third down stupidly. And I go over to ask Coach Bryant what to do, and he's yelling at Jimmy Sharp, who's got the headsets on, talking to Steve Sloan in the press box, asking him what to do. No answer. Finally, the official came over and says, "Time's up, Alabama captain. We got to play." So I turned to start running on the field, and I heard Coach Bryant. Still can hear him saying, "Scott, Scott." And I couldn't stop jogging on. I kind of turned my head, and he gave me the best call I ever heard. He didn't give me a play. He just said, "Run the best thing you got." We got to the huddle, a red right, fire red right 56 come back in. Johnny Musso made a great block on a Ole Miss defensive end that was breaking through. I got the ball off to Raniger, and he made a great catch in the end zone for a touchdown. Run the best thing you got.
Well, it's kind of funny that you brought up Johnny Musso's name, because today on the show, and we love to do this on a throwback day, is we love to talk Alabama history. We're talking about great running backs in Crimson Tide history. Certainly, Johnny Musso will be a big part of that conversation.
Oh, certainly so. He, as far as a player, he's the best all-around player I think I ever played with. People that didn't see what Johnny did when he didn't have the ball, when he was blocking, when he was pass blocking, when he was running routes, and all the other stuff. They just didn't pay any attention to him, but he was just a great all-around player.
Scott, thank you again for spending a couple of minutes with us here in Tuscaloosa, preserving the University of Alabama history. We greatly appreciate the conversation, sir.
Okay, roll tide.